Hello, I'm Diane from Millhouse Quilts, and today we're here to talk about a table runner that I made up when I had a challenge. The challenge was to get a bundle of fat quarters and do something with them. Now the particular bundle that I chose, I couldn't use all of it. I had to save some for another challenge down the road. So what I came up with was this really fun table runner. I got the idea of using rectangles and squares and a smaller rectangle. And I wanted 3 of the bigger rectangles on these 2 outer sides, and I wanted 2 rectangles in the middle and then 3 squares. Now that sounds easy. And I arbitrarily picked 6.5 inches to cut the rectangles because I measured a table runner on my table and I decided this is the size I want to make. So these are cut 6.5 by 3.5, and I have 2 each of 4 different fabrics, 2, 2, 2, and 2. And when I looked at the fabrics first on the floor, my eye noticed that the pink is probably the most dominant of any of the fabrics. Even though this one is pretty good, the pink still sticks out the most. So I decided to place the pink one in the middle as these 3 squares. Now what I learned really early on was if I do the 6.5 and then this is 2 inch, so it's the third, it's a good proportion of that. If I kept 2 inches over here, it was way too short. So I made this one a 3-inch square. I'm talking finish size right now. And it came out almost the same, and I'll show you a little bit later what I had to do. Now because I had fat quarters and I could only use the fat quarters I had, I ran out of one. The background right here, I used every single bit, and it had to be a little longer. So the 2 ends are actually another fabric that's the same color, and you may or may not have noticed that, but it blends in well enough. So we have our 6 rectangles on the sides, 2 in the middle, 3 more dominant squares, and then our secondary little rectangles. And these are the least noticeable fabric, and they're just intended to kind of complement and be there as a soothing filler without drawing any particular attention to themselves at all. And then for the quilting, I just use a more modern, just a random back and forth with straight lines. And I never like to mark, I just do it. So you kind of eyeball where you start, and then just start and go round and round and round and round till you're done. Okay. So I made another one. I'm working on another one. And the first fabric I picked was this really pretty Asian print with metallic sparkle on it. And I thought, I want to do something with that. And I had this batik, and I had black, and I found this green that really complemented the green in the leaves on this print. But I had to work a bit to find a few more fabrics because I realized in order to do this pattern, I couldn't just have 3 different fabrics because the balance wasn't right in the piecing. So I have ended up with the right amount of fabrics, and with each rectangle, I want you to see here that I put a border around them. And I'm going to build the parts. You can tell this is an outside strip because here's the 2 smaller complementary ones. Here's my middle strip and the outside strip. Now when I laid them out, I tried to balance. I've got the blacks balanced, these, they go opposite. I like the green in there. I picked the black, and again, the red is pretty bright, but the black is more noticeable than the red. So I used the black for those 3 squares in the middle to kind of draw the eye in, and then this nice soothing green just provides a balance that you don't really notice. Now, when I made the first one, like I told you, the sizes didn't quite add up to the same length strip. So I made these a little bit bigger, but then it was still just a teeny bit shorter than these 2 strips when I went to put it together. So if you look really closely, this piece right here is a little bit wider than that one. But as long as it's the same fabric, it's not going to make any difference when you sew it together. And I also decided that I like the fact I started at first with all the same width borders, and then I trimmed down the one in the middle because I decided it fit better if it was just a little bit narrower. so that this white wasn't too wide when I put it together. Now I went back and looked at each of these fabrics, trying to decide which one should be the narrow strip up on the top. And I auditioned every one. I almost picked this one. This was way too noticeable. That was too much. This one really didn't work at all. So we're going with the red. And when I get it sewed together, it'll be just a half an inch. It's cut 1 inch wide. So it'll be just a little bit of red. And I think I'm going to bind it in a print. But anyway, that's going to be it. I call it Serenity Table Runner, and have fun making your own and making it any size you want. Happy quilting from Millhouse Quilts.